side. Well, good morning. Oh, actually, good afternoon. Welcome to New Breed Fellowship. For those who don't know, I'm sure most of y'all know me who may be watching on Facebook. But for those who don't know, I'm Sylvia Reindock. My husband and I are pastors of New Breed Fellowship. And we've been doing this for about 5 years. And we've been just all over the place here. So we are back on the live. And I'm just going to go off the cuff with whatever God want to say and do this morning with this word entanglement. And yeah, I'm looking pretty purple here. And actually, I'm pink today because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm an overcomer, survivor, thriver of breast cancer. And so I've been wearing my pink little thing on my cheek. Where is it? Where did I put it? I had it here somewhere. I ain't even got it on. As you can see. I don't know where I put it. I put it somewhere where I'd be able to find it, but I don't see it. Anyway, I hope people join. If you don't, you can watch it on the replay, after play. So we're going to talk about this word entanglement today. You know, I'm like, I got to find that. I know that's not why I'm here, but don't you just really, really get irked when you don't? When you misplace something? I know where it's at. But we're going to talk about this word entanglement. We're going to come off the cuff here. I'm going to bring a very popular subject into this conversation today on entanglement. What does that word mean? Y'all ain't got nothing here ready for me. But what does that word mean? So I ain't even look it up yet. But I'm going to look it up right now. What does that word mean, entanglement? I'm going to go to Google and look it up right here on the live. And we're going to show you where it comes from in the Bible, or translation in the Bible. Entanglement, the action or fact of entangling or being entangled. That's a very profound definition. Then they gave an example. I'm not going to read that. Here's the definition: a complicated or compromising relationship or situation. That's regarding two people that are in the media right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about. A complicated or compromising relationship or situation. An extensive barrier, typically made of interlaced barbed wire and stakes, erected to impede enemy soldiers or vehicles. The attackers were caught up on wire entanglements. That's an example. What does it mean to be in an entanglement? A complicated or difficult relationship situation. What is an entanglement between two people? This creates something called entanglement, an unexplainable connection between them that allows them access into each other's thoughts and feelings, even when separated by miles away from each other physically or even mentally. Wow, that's a different one. It's not just a theory or a metaphor or even a psychological phenomenon. What is an example of entanglement? A light source that emits two photons at a time. But entanglement, what is entanglement? What is soul entanglement? The entanglement between the higher dimensional soul and our four-dimensional existence implies a deep interconnection between the physical and non-physical aspects of our being. This has the potential to shed light on the mind-body problem and provide more comprehensive understanding of the nature of consciousness. Wow, that's like a very scientific definition. Entanglement. And so the one definition that really can speak to, I believe, all of us, a complicated or compromising relationship or situation. And so that word entanglement, in one of the translations of the Bible, which is the NIV, or New International Version, if you don't know what that means, is found in Hebrews. That word is found in Hebrews 12:2. And I'm going to say that I believe that's where Jada Pinkett Smith got the word from in the Bible, out of the Bible. When she used that word entanglement of her situation with that guy, I believe that's where she got this word from, out of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that's where she got the word from. But here's a word out of the NIV version of the Bible, or this passage. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who, my eyes are getting bad. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, that you will not grow weary and lose heart. But going back to that first verse or second verse, actually that's verse 1. I think I referenced verse 2, but actually that word entanglement is in verse 1. It says, throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And so that word is considered something that is when you get yourself in a situation that's compromising, or you get in a relationship that's compromising, and you get yourself in a place that it might be hard to get out of. But I wanted to talk about, again, the two people in the media, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. And again, I believe that's where she got that word from, entanglement. And they are going through again right now with the media, because it was just shared by Jada that they have been separated since 2016, I think 6 or 7 years. I don't feel like doing the math. And people are all over them for when the slap happened with Chris Rock. They weren't even together as husband and wife. And why did that happen? Why did Will respond that way? And of course, we know that one of the things that was brought out before it was even discovered that Jada has shared that they haven't been together as husband and wife, living together for 6 or 7 years, is that there was an entanglement. That's the word we're talking about today. She had got in an entanglement. She had got in a situation. She had got in a relationship with, I can't remember the guy's name. My daughter would know it, and you probably know it. And feel free to join in the conversation, y'all. Because this is a live. I'm doing this live, as you can see. Anyway, it's live. But so she had got herself in that situation with the guy, and but the thing is, because I watched a 2-hour interview with her about all of this. And the thing is that at the time when that happened, the entanglement that happened with her and his name, if somebody watching know the guy's name, I'm not up on everybody that's out there with the latest music and stuff like that. So I don't um, Arliss, something like that was his name. But you can type his name in the chat. Anybody can type in the chat if you want to join in on this conversation. If not, you can join in after on the replay and put your comments in there. And when that happened, the entanglement that she got in with him, they weren't even together. So, yeah. But yeah, what I want to focus on, this is what I want to focus on. I'm not even going to be on here that long, because it's been a while for us being live, and God been dealing with my heart about coming back on here live and just sharing his heart. What I want to focus on is how people are jumping all over them because of their situation. Now, you don't have to agree with me. That's okay. We can agree to disagree about anything and still keep on liking and loving each other. However, people are giving them, a lot of people, most people, a lot of comments are giving them no grace. Now, okay, so you're saying, well, they weren't even together. Why did this happen? Well, there's a story behind it. If you go watch her 2-hour interview, it is shared how she was even shocked at what he did. And when you saw her roll her eyes, now this is what she shared on her interview. She shared that her and Will had not been together for years, especially as husband and wife, even though they are on paper. And he asked her to come to the Oscars with him. And she was like surprised because of the situation. She didn't think that he would ask her. So he invited her. And when they got there and they saw that Chris Rock was going to be the host, she was like, yeah, I bet Chris is going to say something about my bald head. So they kind of laughed it off. If I can't get the word out. They laughed it off. And so when it happened, where Chris said something about her bald head, she said she don't even remember rolling her eyes. And when it happened, she was rolling her eyes at Will saying, yep, there he is. I told you he was going to say something about my bald head. And when Will got up and did what he did, she was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on with him? So whereas it always looked one way when we looking at stuff, especially on the screen, it's something totally different is happening behind the scenes. And there's a song out there that says, it talks about life being a snapshot. We get a snapshot of something and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I can take a picture with my daughter, my husband, my children, anybody. You know me, I'm a picture person. I'm out there smiling, and you can take a snapshot of a picture and you like this and everything. Oh, they so lovely. They so, look at them. They just, aw. But behind the scenes, something totally different can be going on. So we get a snapshot, but behind the scenes, and that's for all of our lives. We love to see the pretty, the beautiful, the wonderful. Oh, look at that. And I love to smile. God gave me a smile, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to smile. However, when that happened, she was like, I'm just as shocked as y'all is, but nobody saw it that way. And of course, it was so many things said about her. And I'm not upholding anything that anybody do that is not right. That's wrong. But that was their business as far as them not telling anybody that they weren't actually living together anymore. And that happened during the Oscars was something that it looked like it was out of everybody's control except for Will. Maybe he was even out of control when he did it. So she's like, when he said that out of my keep my wife, she's like, we ain't even been acting like husband and wife for years. So what's up with him doing that? So entanglement, their life, even in the last 6 or 7 years, besides what happened with her and the guy, has been in entanglement from what she shared in the 2-hour interview that I watched. And what I want to keep going back to is giving people grace, because we all have things going on in our life and situations, circumstances. We all do and say stuff maybe we shouldn't do, shouldn't say. And Yet when somebody else do it, and definitely when they are out there, have that, entertainment platform, media, we can eat them alive and eat them up and give them no grace. Because there's a time where we all have or will need grace for situations in our life, circumstances in our life, relationships in our life. And so it's like, can we be a people that give people grace? Because behind the scenes, anything can be going on in anybody's life. And then like something happened and we're like, oh my gosh, da, 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 da. But then point the finger back at you, because the Bible says, let a man examine himself. And there's where the Bible talks about, we got like a big old, I got this big old thing in my eye, but you got this little thing in your eye. Here go my thing. This is your thing, but I take your thing and make it like this big, you know, um, when really I have no room to talk about your thing in your eye. Now, we are people who talk and gossip. Yeah, we're all guilty of that. I'm not excusing it. But learning to give people grace, even when they screw up. And let me tell you something. They ain't easy to do. I know it ain't easy to do. And maybe you'll say they don't deserve it. Well, God gives us grace all the time. And what is a definition of grace? Undeserving favor. But trying to learn. And then it's not easy for all of us to do it. Because if people going to disagree with me, they're going to say, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. But if you think about it, they really didn't. Did they break any laws like of the land? Did they really, really, really deceive people? I guess maybe to a certain extent, but it still was their life and their business. I just came across a very well-known person on YouTube, and her and her husband have a business together, and they married. And she said on the interview, she's like, well, he live in his apartment, I live in mine. We still married, we love each other, but she shared it. She didn't have to. But the point again, I go back to is grace, grace, and more grace, because we've been given so much, and we continue to get grace. And so, what I'm saying about this situation with Will and Jada, how people are just like eating them alive. You don't know what was going on behind the scenes. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm married for 23 years and was married for 12 years the first time. 23 years. And marriage ain't no joke. God had given me a podcast for that on what is that, Clubhouse? Most people don't even go there anymore. Marriage ain't no joke. And commend the people. Let me tell you this. Commend the people who stay married. And I ain't talking about, stay married if, there's some type of abuse going on. But commend the people who do stay married. And, they got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years together. Commend those people, because we're on the outside in that snap picture we get, snap picture. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. For them to stay together 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, you don't know what's going on. And marriage is, it's a lot of compromising. It's a mirror of yourself. I read a book once where it says, well, you didn't get married to be happy. You got married to be holy. I threw the book across the room. I think I wanted to. I didn't know. Anyway, grace, and more grace. That is a message for today. And again, you may not agree with me. You may still want to say, yeah, but they this, they that. And ain't nobody thinking about Jada and she lying and will this and will that and all this and that. You can say all that. But I'm going to stick to this, where it's learning to give people grace, even when they screw up, even when they mess up. Giving them grace. So they have not been together all these years, living together, but they apparently, according to her interview, and this is the part too, because marriage, people gonna separate, people, you say they're going to get divorced, because I say nobody walks down the aisle saying, oh, in this many years, this going to happen, that going to happen, and then we're going to get a divorce. I don't believe anybody walk down the aisle saying that. Now, I know people have prenups where they don't have to give up their money, but I don't think anybody walked down the aisle saying that. And so even in all of this time, they have still been in, related in relationship with each other, as far as working through the things that they've been working through in the 6 or 7 years where they haven't been living together. And she said the reason they have not got divorced because she made a promise. So she's like, on paper, yes, they are, but yes, they haven't been actually in a marriage relationship living together for the last 6 or 7 years. And so I'm trying to remember my thought. They've been working through what she says is, a healing process in their marriage in these years that they haven't been together, are living together, or not even together, considered together as husband and wife. And, it's anybody. It could be anybody. It happened to be Will and Jada who are out in the public eye, but it could be anybody, anybody. And so we never know what's going on behind the scenes. And when it comes out that somebody this or that, I'm not talking about somebody breaking the law. I'm not talking about somebody abusing anybody. I'm not talking about somebody hurting somebody, or somebody just being evil and wicked. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when somebody just, it's their lives and they've been dealing with this and doing them, and the way they've been doing this and going through all of this, that we want to be very hard on them. Yeah, it's a shock, surprise. It's like, surprise. But people need grace at times, because we all need it sometimes. We all are going to need it. Now, if you are very, very perfect person, perfect life, even, completely holy and separated from everybody else and how you are, and you got it all together, well, God bless you. But almost all of us find ourselves in a place in our life, at some point in our lives, where we don't have it all together. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, whether it's our husband, wife, our children, our grandchildren, our co-worker, our whatever, neighbor, friends, enemies, foes. We all, at some point, need grace. And so, can we learn to give people grace? Again, especially if they haven't broke the law, hurt somebody physically, mentally, emotionally, been evil or wicked. Give people grace. Learning to give people grace. I continue to, it's a never ending, continuing thing of learning to give people grace, because it's like, no, they don't deserve it because they did this, and that's not right. Yes. And then I get it. But for me, when God starts to deal with my heart, it's like, oh God, but God, but they don't deserve it, right? That some people might say on this considering this conversation about entanglement and giving people grace, they may say to me, well, they don't deserve it. Well, that's where you are. That's where you are. That's where you are. That's where you are. When you don't feel like they deserve it. But one of the definitions of grace coming from God is undeserved favor. And go back in the Bible. If you're a Bible person, I am. Love my Bible. It's actually kind of falling. It's falling apart where I've done putting too much stuff in there, and then it breaks up. Lord help me. Anyway, but if you, a person, who reads your Bible, go and find, I'll bring it up on your phone. How many times is grace in the Bible. Now, where my phone at, y'all? Is it in front of my face? I was going to look it up just now. Yeah, it's in front of my face. How many times is grace in the Bible? How about I look that up right now? And I'm almost done. Keep this to about a half an hour. I'm gonna say this. How many times is grace in the Bible?
According to Sixth Bloom, grace is mentioned 170 times in the Bible, and while I'll not post all of those Bible verses here, I do want to highlight a few of my favorite verses on grace.
I thought you were gonna say them. I thought you were gonna actually say them out. 170 times. 170 times. That's how many times that verses in the Bible. And I know that there's in the Bible where it says how many times should you forgive somebody? 70 times 70, which is, I believe, 490 times. I've done that. I've done that calculation before. 490 times. But grace is in the Bible set 170 times. At least it appears in the Bible. Grace, undeserving favor. So we say, well, they don't deserve any favor. They don't deserve grace. Maybe I don't know, somewhere in there they don't. But how about trying to give it to them? Because like I said in the beginning, people have been eating them alive all over social and media platform, just eating them alive. And then I know it makes news for people who are on YouTube and have their channels. I came on to talk about, that we all get in entanglements at times, and their lives has definitely been not just when she had the entanglement with the guy. And again, when you go to her interview, they weren't even together as husband and wife. Not to say it was right because you're still married. So don't get it twisted that I'm saying it was okay. But their life has been in an entanglement for the last 6 or 7 years. And behind the scenes, some of us, life is in entanglement at times. And right now, it's like, give them grace. Give somebody grace. Even if it ain't them, give them grace. Something that you feel like they don't deserve. Because we get it every day and we don't deserve it. And I thank God for his grace in my life. Where would I be without his grace? So that is it. I just wanted to come on and share about giving people grace. And this word entanglement, which means being in a complicated relationship or situation. And we all may have found ourselves or will find ourselves in that place at some point in our lives. But if you've had a perfect life, we'll always have a perfect life. And everything about you is perfect and ain't nothing about you imperfect. Then I guess this word, encouraging word, message, whatever you want to call it, is not for you. But let's try to give them grace. Let's try to give people grace. So that is the encouraging word today. Again, I'm Sylvia. Those on Facebook already know who I am. And me and my husband have been pastoring New Breed Fellowship for about 5 years. We've been here and there and everywhere, as you can see, and we are back here live. God was impressing my heart to start doing a live again. Hoping and planning to do an online Bible study. And I have to follow what God's heart is for us, for me. For New Breed right now, he ain't told us to stop being New Breed, so we will continue to be New Breed until he says differently. When he says differently, it could be today, tomorrow, next week, next month. But right now, that's where he has us. So that is it. Entanglement. What is that word? Go look it up. And again, I believe that's where Jada got the word from, because I haven't really seen that word anywhere. But in the Bible, Hebrews 12:1 talked about entanglement, that one word. The sin that so easily entangles us. That's how it says it in the NIV, or the New International Version of that passage. So thank you for joining us, and plan to come on again. I can't say exactly if it's going to be next Sunday, but we will plan to keep coming back as New Breed until God says differently. Until next time, I want to live well, take care of yourself, and God bless. Have a great Sunday. I got to get my thing back up. Y'all have a good day. God bless. Fall by the wayside. When they try to test your faith. Hey, Lord. What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? What you gonna do when you need a little more grace? Oh, and I let it fall by the wayside.